how to effectively manage your time through discipline, rhythms, and deep work. So time management is a very interesting topic to me because time in of itself is an interesting concept. What is time? Think about it. What is time aside from your calendar and your clock and your watch? What does time mean? What is it? Can you really get at what time means? Not really, right? If you really think about it, you can kind of define time with regard to rhythms. The calendar and the clocks are observations of certain rhythms and patterns we recognize in our environment. We've been socialized to follow a specific pattern of work, which is work during the day and then sleep at night, right? I mean, that has some sort of alignment with our circadian rhythm, but some people are starting to realize that they can't work a full 8 hours a day and be productive. That's just nature. And then now we have all of these distractions layered on top of that, and we're finding that we're not able to get as much done as possible. So you're watching this video because you want to figure out a way to optimize your time in the most efficient way possible with all of these things going on, with all of these technological advancements that's forcing you to move at a faster pace than you can move, right? So I'm going to try to challenge you to think about time from a different perspective. I'm going to try to get you to think about time from a biological perspective, specifically through the lens of your circadian rhythm. Now, we're still going to use clock time and calendars as the backdrop for the productivity of the specific times in our circadian rhythm where we can get the most optimized workflow out of. But your productivity is strictly tied to your biology. And this is a perspective that I took when I started studying for the CCNA and realizing that there's so much material to learn in a short period of time. I had to look at when I was most productive, and I found that I was most productive when I first woke up in the morning. So after getting a solid 8 hours of sleep, I was ready to get up and get some work done. But what kind of work was I able to get done as efficiently as possible when I first wake up? And I found that I was able to problem solve much easier. I was able to retain information much easier, and I was able to structure my day either upon first waking up or maybe going before I go to sleep. I noticed these patterns throughout my day when I was most efficient and when I was least efficient. For example, I was least efficient between the hours of 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. I would try to avoid studying or doing any kind of work between those hours. I would go outside to take a walk. I would, maybe do some leisure reading, maybe scan for some entertainment, just to give me some downtime and to recharge, to resume my day at about 3:30. All of this came from the realization that my biology plays an important role in my productivity. Now, this might seem obvious to you after, verbalizing it out loud, but if you read the book When by Daniel Pink, you'll understand that there's levels to this. And I would highly advise that you pick that book up because it'll help you to structure your day in such a way that's right for you or productive for you. Also want to know there's specific times throughout the day where your circadian rhythm indicates that you are more productive than creative or more creative than productive. And then there's definitely a span of time throughout your day where you're just completely useless. That's around lunchtime for most people, and I find that again to be between 1 to 3 p.m. for me. For you, it might be different. So in the book When, Daniel talks about early birds and night owl. Now, some of you that may be watching this video might be more of a creative spirit. You get all of your bright ideas when everyone else is sleeping, probably at 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, or what have you. I tend to get my ideas right before I'm about to fall asleep. It's kind of disturbing because I create content as well as, do technical work as well. It's kind of like this balance of getting the ideas in before I go to bed so that I can act on those ideas in the morning, right? It's all about your unique chemical makeup, and this is something that's going to require some introspection on your part. Now, for the tangibles, I would highly advise, if you want to make your time or your use of time more efficient, to focus on one thing at a time. We have no time to waste because time is such a scarce resource. Once you spend it, you never get it back. Spending time on one thing at a time is the best use of your time. There's this book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, and the big idea is success is best achieved by focusing and concentrating on one thing at a time. Now, for me, I interpret that to mean that when you're focusing on one thing at a time, that could literally be the span of an hour or 4 hours or 8 hours, or it could be the span of one day or 8 days or one whole month. Whatever that means for you, fit it into your time in such a way that you can get the most out of that session, that period of time. When you focus on one thing, you're going to structure your day around that one thing. For me, while I was studying, and probably for you, let's use you as an example. If you're studying for the CompTIA A+ certification or the CCNA, or you're studying for a final exam, and that means more to you than anything else in the world in that moment, then you should take that moment to focus on scheduling your day around that final exam, around that certification exam, around maybe you're training for a marathon or something like that. You should focus on creating and blocking out huge blocks of time where you could focus on that one thing, and then everything else you can build around that. Now, during that period of time, you want to stay away from distractions. You want to put your phone on do not disturb. You want to delete the social media apps completely out of your life, because I believe that social media is breaking your brain. It's really reducing your ability to concentrate, right? So you want to make sure that no one can reach you at that time of day. Now, what vehicle are we going to use to block out this time, and how are we going to kind of contextualize that? Blocking out your time to focus on one thing can also be known as chunking. I interpret chunking to mean that you are spending a specific time of day doing that one thing. So that specific time of day could be Monday through Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. You're focusing on your one thing, and you're not letting anything interrupt you. Yeah, you can have your 10-minute breaks in between rounds or sessions, but you keep your phone on silent, you don't give into any distractions, you don't check your email, and you just focus on that one thing so that you can get better at that one thing. Now, this doesn't have to be forever. This can be maybe over the course of a month. I know for me, it was more like a year when I was studying for the CCNA, because I wasn't letting anything stop me from getting that certification. You're gonna find when you're chunking and you're doing it effectively, you're gonna get into flow state, and flow states are magical. They allow you to complete 8 hours of work, for example, in maybe 4 hours or 2 hours, because you're fully immersed in the present moment. You're fully immersed in your craft, and you're getting that value out of the momentum that you've created from staying focused on that task from minute one. You say you start at 9 a.m. and you don't let anything distract you. You'll find that by maybe 9:30, 10 a.m. you're in this flow state where everything else around you dissolves, and it's only that one task that has your attention. That's the magic of focusing on one thing in one particular block of the day. You end up getting a benefit of this flow state. Now, this is in contrast to multitasking. Never multitask, because when you switch from one task to the next, you're gonna find that you're subject to what's called attention residue. Essentially, attention residue is when you switch from one task and you switch to another task and you're still thinking about the previous task. That can influence and degrade your productivity for up to 25 minutes. Probably longer if you keep switching back and forth. You're probably not getting anything done at the end of a 8-hour period when you keep multitasking. Focusing on one thing at a time means that you have to be ruthless. You have to completely put on blinders and scope in on that one thing and not let anything stop you. And it doesn't have to be, again, it doesn't have to be too long. It doesn't have to be years that you do this. Some people do it for years. Some people completely block out the world for years and focus on their thing. I would imagine that's what the deep life is. It means that you're focused on working as deeply as possible and taking advantage of flow states to accomplish your goals. And I would say plan your day with paper and pen, because there's magic in writing things down. There's magic in writing down a to-do list. That's what I did when I was studying for the CCNA. And different phases, I had different forms of to-do lists. I used to write down what I was doing from the time I woke up to the time that my work day ended, and it was really productive. There's something to be said about creating a to-do list and getting things done and checking them off one after the other. It creates this inertia of positivity and productivity when you get into this flow state, right? Where you're just knocking things off one after the other. You feel good about it. You actually get the benefit of feeling productive because you can physically see that you're checking things off. That's all I have for time management. I don't have the productivity tips such as taking a cold shower or, drinking more coffee. I would just highly urge that you look at time from a whole different perspective, which is the perspective of your circadian rhythm. I would say come back to you, because when you come back to you and you can move at your own pace, there's nothing that you can't set your mind to and not accomplish. Like, you can accomplish anything that you truly set your heart and your mind to. A lot of the times we give technology this power over us to rush us, right? For example, you get on these social media apps and you see people accomplishing things, you're scrolling, and you find yourself comparing your every day or your now to someone's highlight. Somebody accomplished something and it makes you feel like you need to move faster. But that's not how the world works. You have to work with yourself. And I think getting back to your biology, focusing on when you're most productive, when you're most creative, when you're not that energetic, can help you to create a schedule that works for you. Other than that, all I have to say is you have to be disciplined. You have to be willing to get up every day and figure out what works for you. You can't depend on anyone else to tell you how to manage your time in a specific way. It takes introspection and reflection and tinkering and iteration to figure out a particular schedule that works for you. So again, make sure you pick up those two books. And I would also say pick up Deep Work by Cal Newport and Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. He has some really great content around, doing knowledge work the right way and focusing on your goals the right way rather than being distracted, right? So if you enjoy videos like this, click right here and I will talk to you guys next time.